So this is my roundup of the American film market. The American film market is basically a trade show for the movie industry that brings together production companies and smaller movie studios and producers and independent filmmakers and writers who have ideas. They pitch ideas, they make distribution deals, and it's just a good place to network and exchange information and to learn a lot about the movie industry, to really get a demystified view of the movie industry. It's held in Santa Monica, California, which is, of course, a beautiful area of Los Angeles. AFM was held this year, I believe it was November 1st through November 5th. So I'll just kind of take you through some of the panel discussions I attended. I think the panel discussions are among the best part of AFM because the panel discussions is where industry professionals and sometimes celebrities they participate in these panels and they share their expertise. So it's really an invaluable opportunity to learn directly from the horse's mouth in a live setting from people who have been in the industry for years and learn about their mistakes as well as what to do right. On Friday afternoon, there was a panel I went to that was just so powerful. It was called The Debts, Black Equity and Mainstream Culture, presented by the NAACP. The panelists were Ivan Juzang, I think I'm pronouncing that name correctly, founder and president of Motivational Educational Entertainment, Brandon Odoms, an artist and activist from New Orleans, Kelly Roselle, Chief Marketing and Storytelling Officer from Color of Change, and Erica Alexander, actress from Living Single and the movie Get Out, and an activist. And the moderator was Kyle Bozer, Senior Vice President of the Hollywood Bureau of the NAACP. Now, all of these people just gave amazing advice about how to achieve equity for people of color in the movie industry. Some of the advice I heard was pooling resources, independent Black producers working together and going in, pooling their money and using their mutual contacts to maybe find a financier for a project that you want to get made, maybe about a historical figure, like let's say Sojourner Truth. And a movie has never been made on the life of Sojourner Truth. A lot of Black creatives could get together, pool resources, and find financiers that want to fund a movie, let's say, on the life of Sojourner Truth because it has such historical value. And something that really inspired me was Brandon Odoms, the artist and activist. He's from New Orleans, I believe. He has converted a warehouse into an arts facility where he not only creates art, I believe he's like a comic book artist and graphic designer, but he also teaches courses for children. So he's grooming the next generation of Black creative, Black and brown creatives. And I think that's great that he's using his creativity and his success to groom a new generation. He's not just focused on himself. Getting back to Saturday, the final day of the conference, they had panels, discussions in two rooms. There was a big room called the Arcadia stage. That was a big, huge conference room. Then there was a smaller conference room called the Palisade stage. Now, I alternated between the big room, the Arcadia room, and the small room, the Palisade stage. That turned out to be advantageous because the Palisade stage, the events, the panel discussions were smaller, and you had a chance to actually ask a question. In the bigger room, sometimes they weren't even allowing questions. Well, they would take questions from the audience, but you would have to submit them in writing, like you'd have to email or text this number, and it was like a random draw. But in the Palisades room, where the panel discussions were smaller, you could actually get up and vocally ask your question to the panelists directly. And so there was a panel on filmmaking in Louisiana 101. Panelists included Megan McCormick, Chief Executive Officer of St. Bernard Parish Economic Development Foundation, Katie Patton Pryor, Executive Director of Baton Rouge Film Commission, moderated by Chris Stelly, Executive Director of Entertainment and Digital Media for Louisiana Economic Development. Now, basically what they were talking about in this session was how to use credits, which is when states want to get economic benefit from film and television productions. They offer credits, which are basically, they'll give you part of your budget. They'll reimburse you for part of your budget for bringing your production to that state. So they gave a lot of great information about how to film in Louisiana. And Louisiana I don't know if you ever watched the credits of movies, along with Georgia and some other states around the country, including my own home state, Ohio. There's been a lot of productions in Cleveland, Cincinnati, and a few in Columbus because of film commissions and state governments that give credits and reimbursements for part of the budget. One thing I learned in this session was that universities like Tulane and Louisiana State University, and also Thibodeau University in Louisiana, they have facilities that filmmakers can use at lower cost. They have students available to serve as like interns so that they can learn the craft and learn the business and get more young people and women and people of color into unions. They have facilities like LSU has I believe it's called an LED screen. That's like the latest technology rather than using a green screen. So there's facilities like that at LSU and Tulane and Thibodeau, and people, basically government officials who will help you serve as like location managers. You could say, well, I need a warehouse that produces gin or alcohol. They can help you find that location. I need a big plantation because I'm doing a historical movie. They can help you find that. Of course, there's plenty of those type of sites in Louisiana. So that was very interesting. And I got to ask a couple of questions directly because the crowd size was a little smaller in this smaller panel discussion. I have to say, probably the most impactful panel discussion that I attended was called Setting New Standards for Hair and Makeup Equity. This was held in the smaller room, the Palisade stage. The panelists were Michaela Angela Davis, a very accomplished writer. She co-wrote Mariah Carey's autobiography, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, and she just produced a new Hulu series called The Hair Tales. And Maud Okra, founder of Black Beauty Roster. So this is a very important movement to get people of color who know how to do hair and makeup for people of color into the hair and makeup unions. Also on the panel was Yvette Urbina with Warner Brothers. And this was such an amazing discussion. I don't feel like it was as well as attended as it should be. The people that were there were very passionate and very interested, but the room should have been full because this is such an important discussion. It just goes to show how hair and makeup and issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion, they still don't take center stage, no pun intended, in Hollywood. But this was such an important discussion about how even actresses at the top of their game, like Tracee Ellis Ross from Blackish, and how women like Viola Davis have to fight to have people who know how to do hair and makeup. What they were saying is that all hair and makeup artists should know how to do all textures of hair and all complexions, but you can get through cosmetology school and never have to touch textured hair. Michaela talked about how the beauty salon is sort of like the great equalizer in the Black community. You see, you go to a Black beauty salon on a Saturday morning, you'll see judges, you'll see cashiers, and they're all sitting there making conversation and talking about important issues and talking about politics and the importance of voting and how we need to take the atmosphere of the Black beauty salon and take it out into society at large because Black women are often the ones who uphold democracy. Maud talked about how she's working with studios. Her service, Black Beauty Roster, offers professionals at a range of abilities. So maybe you have someone who's just a beginner that they might be better used as an assistant makeup artist or an assistant hairstylist, or just they would be better on like a smaller independent film. And you have very, very experienced hairstylists and makeup artists who can do a big budget television show or big budget movie and handle all different textures of hair and all different complexions. And then Yvette Urbina, she talked about how as a Latina, she has educated herself about the importance of hair and makeup for people of different backgrounds, because the Latino community encompasses all complexions and hair textures, and how she learned about, you need to set aside money in your budget for proper hair and makeup. She gave an example of a music video. The filming of this big budget music video had to be stopped. Filming had to stop because the rapper had to go to his barber to get his hair cut because the hair and makeup people on set did not know how to cut this rapper's hair. So that just goes to show it costs money when you don't have people who know what they're doing and know how to handle all hair textures and complexions. The conversation even went into lighting, how we need more cinematographers and gaffers who know how to light people of color. So that was just an excellent presentation, and one that an issue that I feel like needs to be discussed in more mainstream circles in Hollywood and beyond, for sure. So the final panel that I went to that actually closed out the conference, that was in the big room, the Arcadia room, and this was session was packed, was called An Insider's Perspective: The Essential Role Agents, Lawyers, and Managers Play in Film. And I started not to go to this. I thought, I don't have a manager, I don't have an agent. I'll hire a lawyer when I need to. So I was like, huh, does this really apply to me? But I'm so glad that I went, because these panelists were able to give perspectives that were really valuable beyond law and beyond just being a manager or an agent. One of the panelists was Ross Putnam, head of Verve Ventures, Nick, I'm going to probably mispronounce his name, Lipokolo, an agent, and Demeter or Jamater Nikolov. Their names are not printed in my program, so I sort of had to spell them out phonetically in my notebook. So just some of the nuggets of wisdom I got from this panel was Ross, who talked a lot and gave a lot of good information. He said, if you have an interest and it's passionate, you should try and get it made, meaning that there are going to be a lot of obstacles in your way if you have an idea that you want to turn into a movie or a TV show. But if you're really passionate about it, you should pursue it. Do it as a short film first, and then send it around to the festival circuit and see if you can get some interest in turning it into a feature film. But don't give up on your idea if you're really passionate about it. And Ross, his name is Ross Putnam, Putnam, Putnam. He said he's done a lot. He's an independent filmmaker himself, and he said he's done a lot of podcast interviews about how he successfully distributed his own films. So look up Ross Putnam, Putnam, and listen to his podcast interviews about how to successfully distribute your own films. That was really the big takeaway from that session. But I have to say, overall, attending the American film market, it was a great networking event. It, again, helped further demystify the film industry for someone who doesn't live in Hollywood or New York. I don't live on the coast. It was a great event for me to go to. And I have to say, just getting out of my comfort zone, getting out of my bubble, but just getting out of my own environment and meeting people in the industry was definitely a good experience. Getting to go to the beach, although I have to say it was strange. It was, the weather is so unpredictable nowadays. It was actually warmer in my city, Columbus, Ohio. It was like in the 70s when I left and when I got back. But in LA, it was chilly. I wore my winter coat. Now, it would get warm during the day when the sun was out, but in the morning and the evening, it was really chilly. And when I first arrived Thursday evening, the evening of November 3rd, I was cold. I had my scarf on, my winter scarf on and everything. I have to say that one of the highlights of the trip beyond going to the conference was getting to go to the Santa Monica Pier and also walk up and down Venice Beach and get to see the Pacific, because, we don't have the ocean in Ohio. So I got to see dolphins swimming I think it was Saturday morning. I got up early and went to the pier and saw dolphins and seagulls, doing their thing in the Pacific Ocean. And that was so cool, getting to see a dolphin leaping in and out of the water. And then also on Saturday, I had lunch on the Santa Monica Pier between sessions of the conference. I got to see this street performance troupe, this amazing street performance troupe. They just happened to be performing when I was there. They're called The Damn Team. Look them up on Instagram, at The Damn Team. These guys, they're a group of street performers, but they're acrobats, but they have humor. The guy who's like the MC, he's just so funny, so charismatic. They did this stunt where they lined up a group of men and had them crouch down, and one of the members of the troupe did a backflip over all of the guys.
This is the final move. Everybody clap. Don't move. Watch him. Here he comes. Let's go.
mean, they're just so talented. I think they should have their own TV show, their own series. They should be internationally known as far as I'm concerned. So it's things like that that you encounter when you travel that I wouldn't have seen just driving up and down the streets or walking up and down the streets of my own city. Getting out of your comfort zone, going out and seeing things and networking, that's important for us as creatives, not just to get information about the business side and how can I get ahead and how can I get my ideas made, but also to learn things about other cultures and other cities. And it really literally broadens your horizons. So whenever you get a chance to attend a conference like this or just to travel, I definitely recommend to do it. If you like these videos and you would like more content like this, please consider becoming a member on Patreon. Link in the description box.